Hope you're all still awake. Late Night Mega here, and we are still in the Forest Shrine. It is quiet here. We just beat the mini-boss, which is one of the main boss's tentacle arms. That's going to be a wonderful sign of things to come. Oh, this is also a wonderful sign of things to come. Oh, I wasn't even like aiming at that bird. I just kind of threw it in that direction and that bird just like wafted down at the time I was throwing it. Kind of amusing when that happens. Hey, a bloodstone. We could always use more of these. I don't know what they're going to become, but it must be something good. Or I wonder if it's going to be one of those things where, like, you collect all of them, and then eventually the game requires you to collect all of them, and then the final sequence triggers, and really the guild folk is going to use the bloodstones for evil and create the final boss or something. I'm not expecting a twist like that. Alright, what do we have? We have a switch. You know, they haven't required us to use that force spell in here. I find that really odd that the game gave us that, and then it's been required practically nowhere outside of the tutorial that we first got it with. And there's a lever up there. And a box. Uh-oh. And then this just says, you know, use the switch to control the water. That's not... I could have figured that out without a sign. It's a sign of the times. Crunk, pull the lever. So basically this room is a giant toilet, and we just flushed it. Oh boy. You know, when... I can't say this even applied to me, but maybe it applied to some of you. When you first saw this dungeon having, like, water levels that you raise and lower, you probably panicked and thought of, like, the water dungeons from basically any 3D Zelda game right now. The water temple from Ocarina of Time seems to be the most infamous of water dungeons, but honestly, I don't think that one is nearly as bad as the one from the Great Bay Temple from Majora's Mask. That temple alone is enough of a reason to make me not want to play that game. Not to mention the entire rest of the game and the main premise of the game, but that temple by itself does it. Or the temple, the water temple from the bottom of the bay at, we suddenly got the Master Key and suddenly the bow and arrow. Hooray! Or the water dungeon from Twilight Princess, where you have to, you know, get the water flowing and then spin the staircase around every which way, and I always get lost in that one. Okay, so the aiming physics of this are kind of weird. Basically, you hold the circle button, and then you aim around with the directional button that you would normally use to walk with. Not directional button, the joystick. Yeah, sure. We'll go with that. And then you release the O button to finally fire. It just feels a little slow and clunky to get arrows going, in my opinion. So arrows, you're probably not going to see me use them as often as I use bombs in combat. And here's where I figure out that you can't use arrows or your sword to smack that thing. You have to break the mask off. I mentioned that in the last episode that that's what you had to do, but that's where I officially figured it out. And yeah, I hurt myself with the bomb. Interesting how our own bombs do like half of... That's not what I was trying to do. Only do half a heart of damage to us, but to enemies it'll do like was essentially 3 to 4 hits worth. So now that we have the bow and arrow, let's go do some stuff with it. I feel like there's still one other thing. That gate we just opened looks like it's going to be the progress gate. And I thought there was another thing we could do with the arrows, which actually there is. We need bombs back to deal with him. Yeah, despite all of our buttons, we can still only have one of our sub-items active at once. And yes, here was the other place we could use arrows. I could see the treasure on the mini-map as well. I noticed that it wasn't opened. Oh, hello, that's nice. Piece of heart. Definitely not going to complain about that treasure. This means we only need one more of those to get another heart container. And I see another... There is another treasure around here. And it looks like I'm practically on top of it, but I don't see it. Well, you actually have to... Well, I'm not going to spoil it. You're going to have to watch the video like everyone else. I do figure it out. A little bit accidentally. Because I'm like, huh. Is there a place to go? Is there a switch I'm missing? Is there... What am I missing? And I'm like, no, I'm getting away from it now, according to the mini-map. It's got to be over here. And I'm like, oh, maybe I have to bomb this wall. Not quite that wall, just the entirety of what I was standing on. Oh, some money. Worth it. Now, we can't get progress reports on our challenges. I just tell you if it's complete or incomplete. I'd also like to know if that counted as bombing a wall. Alright, nothing much going on over here. Oh, a switch. And then you got this trap thing that's not being subtle at all. Those spiky floor traps, they seem to get me more often than they probably should. No, we need to go below. Well, this sounds like a job for bombs. let me get this bird out of here first. Otherwise, we're just going to end up throwing the bomb at the bird. Where did my... Okay, fine, it worked. And we'll equip our bow because, you know, it's boss time. And naturally, you know, Zelda instincts say, use the weapon you got in the dungeon. Turmos, that's the guy's name. I think that was one of the 5 names I said last time. Yeah, Turmos. Oh, and there's P-hats in this battle. Get that out of here. And so we have the centered view. Okay, I can't just... What do I have to do here? Oh, okay, we gotta take out the forearms. The forearms. No, we still haven't done damage to him yet, but I'm betting he's gonna become vulnerable when we take out the arms. Now, why did that not hit? Okay. And then once we do, we will shoot him with the bow. Or hit him. Dang, that hurt. And we died. Well, that did not go well. So, I also noticed that they kept giving us bombs. The arms when we killed them. So... There's Turmos again. So, despite my natural Zelda instincts to think, hey, let's use the bow on the boss, you actually don't have to. So we're going to stick with bombs. And so what we're going to do, we're going to use a combination of our spin attack and just sword attacks to take out, and occasionally bombs, to take out the arms and jars, because we can throw those for a decent hit. Okay, and then we're gonna bomb this guy. We're gonna throw bombs at him. He wants to eat bombs. He can eat bombs. Yeah, and actually you have enough time to... Well, as soon as you chuck 3 bombs into his mouth, then he'll close his mouth again and then repeat this process. So yeah, and since when you're using the bow, your character ends up not moving while his attack is like sucking you in. So that's another reason I recommend not using the bow. I just find it not as practical as bombs here. Is with bombs, I can still run while I have a bomb in my hands. Not that you want to be doing a ton of that. But it's not like the bow and arrow where your movement is completely locked in place while you're aiming your bow. And that's not something we want to be happening for this battle, because if you go into his mouth, you're taking 3 hearts of damage. That's not a good thing. Here, have the bomb. I want these bombs, thank you. This battle's going to give us plenty of bombs as well. We've almost got him. I know the typical Zelda tradition is to do the pattern on the boss 3 times, and then he's dead. I kind of wish that would be the case here, because doing the same thing 4 times is like, okay, we figured out how to do this. It's not... We've got the pattern down. Do we really need to do this a 4th time? That's what it feels like for me. Other than that, and the whole lack of, hey, arrows aren't the best thing to use here, I like this boss battle. You are dead, right? See, he even exploded like we threw bombs into him. And that must be our emblem of Earth. Emblem of Earth? Can you speak English?
You freed the Great Forest Shrine.
Oh, hi
I
there.
can finally return here to sing a long song to my ancestors.
Well,
The
good.
least I can do, as last of my kind, is to show respect to my roots.
Maybe you would allow us to join you.
Oh, hey, the mini-boss we had earlier. An acorn of the last tree. And that was the challenge complete. Now let's talk to these people. Riptide Reef. The Coral Saber. Yes. I want to go there and I want to get that. Of course, we're running out of time on this video, so that'll be the first thing that we end up doing next time. And we're right by the boat, so we're totally using the boat intro.